Coldplay is without a doubt one of the most beloved and best-selling bands in the entire world. But despite their success as a globally beloved band, they also have their fair share of criticisms, which has garnered them a polarizing reputation. Since the release of their debut album in 2000, Coldplay has been a fixture in the mainstream music world for over 2 decades. Their style of alternative rock has evolved from album to album, helping them stay in tune with the times and preserve their status as one of music's biggest bands today. Their broad range and eclectic musical influences were instrumental in maintaining their spot in the limelight. However, the same characteristics have also been used by their detractors, who have commented that they're either too artsy for a pop band or too pop to be a rock band. Nonetheless, how did Coldplay manage to become one of the world's biggest bands? Stay tuned as we explore Coldplay's beginnings, from the college grounds to mainstream success and eventually to the biggest stages around the world. College beginnings to debut album. Coldplay is one of the few alternative rock bands that have managed to stay at the upper echelons of mainstream music for 20+ years. Although, like every other big success story, they're not free from criticisms from both music reviewers and fans. Coldplay was formed in 1996 by lead singer Chris Martin and guitarist Johnny Buckland when they were studying at University College London. The two bonded over their shared love of music and formed a friendship that would eventually lead to the band's formation. After a few months, bassist Guy Berryman would join the fold. The band was initially called Pectorals and consisted of Martin, Buckland, Berryman, and drummer Will Champion, who joined in 1998. For their first ever show in January 1998, the band called themselves Starfish. Some weeks later, the band settled on the name Coldplay. Their early years were spent performing at small clubs and bars around London, honing their sound and building a fan base. In 1998, they released their first EP, Safety. They continued performing and started building a reputation, which eventually led to a contract with Parlophone. The label previously passed up on them, but with much persistence and increased popularity, Parlophone finally signed them in April 1999. 2 months later, Coldplay secured a slot at the Glastonbury Festival. This marked the very first appearance at the festival, where they played under the new band's tent. In October that same year, Coldplay released their second EP, The Blue Room, which was well received by critics and fans alike. Shortly after its release, the band started working on their debut album. Although the initial plan was to record the album in 2 weeks, the band had already scheduled tours and live performances, which spread the recording period up until May 2000. In July that year, Coldplay released their debut album, Parachutes. The record was a huge success, selling over 2 million copies and earning Coldplay critical acclaim and a dedicated fan base. The album's lead single, Yellow, was a massive hit, reaching the top 10 in the UK and establishing Coldplay as one of the biggest bands in the world. The band's unique sound, characterized by Martin's emotive vocals and Buckland's soaring guitar riffs, quickly made them one of the most recognizable bands in the world. Parachutes became the UK's 22nd best-selling album of the 2000s and the 45th best-selling album of all time. The album also won the Grammy Award for Best Alternative Music Album in 2002. 4 years after its release, Yellow was included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 Songs That Shaped Rock and Roll. All these were tremendous accomplishments for a debut album and ensured that Coldplay was well on its way to the top. Rise to prominence in the 2000s. Not content with resting on their laurels, Coldplay returned to the studio in 2001 to record a follow-up to Parachutes. In 2002, Coldplay released their sophomore album, A Rush of Blood to the Head, which was even more successful than their first, becoming the 8th best-selling album of the new millennium in the United Kingdom. Needless to say, the album was a hit with both fans and critics, producing some of the band's signature songs such as Clocks and The Scientist. From there, the band's popularity only continued to grow. Coldplay embarked on a massive world tour to support the album, playing to sold-out crowds worldwide. The album garnered 3 Grammy Awards, winning 2 for Best Alternative Album and Best Rock Performance for the song In My Place in 2003, and Record of the Year for the song Clocks in 2004. As Coldplay continued touring the world, selling out arenas and stadiums and selling records, they rapidly established themselves as one of the biggest bands in the world. After extensive touring to promote A Rush of Blood to the Head, the band took a break before recording their next effort. The sessions for their third album was notably troubled, with the band not being satisfied and working hard to get things right. During recording, their manager, Phil Harvey, often considered as the fifth member of the band, briefly left. After much anticipation, their third album, X and Y, was released in June 2005. The band's efforts paid off as the album was another huge success, selling over 8 million copies and earning the band critical acclaim. Globally, it was the best-selling album of the year. But other than its massive commercial success, the album saw Coldplay start experimenting with their sound by adding touches of electronic music and incorporating synthesizers. The band would later be known for continuously evolving its sound by introducing new elements to its alternative rock sound. 3 years later, in 2008, Coldplay released their next album, Viva la Vida, or Death and All His Friends. The record was a notable departure from their earlier sound. The album was a more experimental and atmospheric effort, showcasing the band's growth as artists as seen in songs like Violent Hill, Lost, and the title track Viva la Vida. Despite some mixed reviews, the album was a commercial success, setting a record for the fastest-selling album in a week in the UK around the time of its release. It topped charts all over the world and earned the band another Grammy Award in 2009 for Best Rock Album. Additionally, the title track won 2 more Grammys that year for Song of the Year and Best Vocal Performance by a Duo or Group. Coldplay also received 4 nominations at the Brit Awards that year. The band embarked on the Viva la Vida tour, which took them to places such as Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America. The live album, Left, Right, was recorded from various shows throughout this tour and was released in 2009. Musical expansion in the 2010s. The band's 5th album, Milo Xyloto, was released in 2011 and was another departure from their earlier sound. The album was conceived as a rock opera and musically was a more electronic and dance-oriented effort and was well received by fans and critics alike. Coldplay continued to tour around the world, playing to massive crowds and earning reputation as one of the world's best live bands. Coldplay Live 2012, a concert documentary, follows the band during the supporting tour for Milo Xyloto and saw a one-night-only theatrical premiere on November 13, 2012, after which it was released on home media. In 2014, Coldplay released their 6th album, Ghost Stories, which was a more introspective and personal effort. The album was another commercial success and was notable for its unique promotion. The band announced an international scavenger hunt for lyric sheets, which singer Chris Martin hid in ghost story books and libraries worldwide. To help fans find the sheets, the band tweeted clues about their locations. A year later, in 2015, they dropped their 7th album, A Head Full of Dreams, which had a more uplifting, pop-oriented sound and featured a wide range of guests such as Noel Gallagher of Oasis fame, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Beyoncé. 4 years later, Coldplay released their next album, Everyday Life, which is considered a sequel to Viva la Vida. It's also the band's first double album and is regarded by critics as their most experimental record, with lyrics that talk about racism, oppression, police brutality, and war. Coldplay's 9th and latest album, Music of the Spheres, was released in 2021 and is another concept album, this time dealing with sci-fi themes and having a prominent space rock influence. The album was met with mixed reviews, with critics noticing that the band incorporated too much pop sensibilities on the record. Nonetheless, the album was a success, notably the single My Universe, a collaboration with the South Korean group BTS, debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. This isn't the first time Coldplay achieved the feat, but it also made them the first ever British act to do so. With this accomplishment, Coldplay proved that they remain vital and as popular as ever after more than 2 decades and have a lot left in the tank.